Alright, everybody, we are back once again. Truth Oneness discussion with Scorpio and an Aquarius.
It's an
Enlightened
enlightened
living.
living. Yeah.
It's the combination, because that's just where we are. We're all of this. We are all everything together. But, so, what I want to talk about today is something that speaks really deep to my heart at the moment. Because we had our baby pass away like a week and a half ago. And it kind of like showed me some of the things about this world that a lot of people don't really talk about, or like they get kind of taken advantage of during the death process. Do you want to talk about this for a second, or shall I just continue?
Oh, you can continue.
Okay, so what ends up happening, like, okay, so somebody passes away. It's a very emotional experience, and there are people, literally industries set up to take advantage of people during this time. And I don't agree with it, and a lot of people, like, they don't want to talk about it because they're during grieving and everything like that. They just want it all to be said and done. But here's how it goes down. So our baby was less than 10 pounds, just under 10 pounds. And they asked if we were going to have the baby be autopsied on. We're like, oh no. And they're like, oh no, okay, they're just gonna kind of do like a general look over of the baby. And we're like, okay. So then I confirmed it a few times.
It was like I guess because of everything that's going on right now, it's mandatory to have an autopsy. But they were like, they said it was just like a visual thing. They weren't gonna do any cutting or anything like that. And because I guess the way I see it, like, I wouldn't have even done an autopsy just because to me it's a little bit disrespectful to the death process. I don't know, but basically, yeah. Go on.
So I confirmed numerous times that they were not going to be doing this. It's just going to be like they're going to be looking over them. And I was like, great, they're not going to. Okay. And then we had to leave the baby there with the placenta, which, like, both of them, I was like, okay, so I guess this is what we have to do, because, like, we can't take the baby with us. And they're like, no, it has to be sent off to Birmingham or blah, 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 and, like, do all these other things. And then we'll get it back. And they said it's going to take, like, a day or so to get there, a day or so there, a day or so to get back. We're like, okay, so it's going to be a little bit. Are they going to contact us? Oh, it's like, choose which memorial service location you'd like to use. And
Like, you
they'll be in
can't.
contact.
That was like an option, I think, to choose a memorial.
Yeah.
We didn't have to, probably.
Well,
but
they said the baby would come back to the hospital, and then they'd contact us to say, like, who's coming to pick this baby up. Not us, a memorial service, because they apparently won't release just the baby to us. So we picked one, and it's getting close to the time where I was like, okay, this is like around the estimated time that we're supposed to be hearing something back. I'll call tomorrow if I don't hear anything.
okay, so this is like after we left, and then it's like been 4 days, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then get a phone call, and it's like, this is a memorial service, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. They're like, I haven't heard from you guys. I was like, heard from us? Like, were they supposed to call you? They're like, yeah. I was like, okay. Like, they didn't tell us we're supposed to call you. They're supposed to call us. They're like, okay, we have a baby here. So
Since Friday, or it's been here since been here since like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was a quicker turnaround than they were telling us.
Yeah. It's like, so they've had our baby sitting there without, like, letting it, like, reaching out or anything. It's like, okay, so, like, where was the confusion on that? Like, okay, so you're offering a service, but you're, like, upset with us because we didn't know when you didn't let us know when the baby arrived. So I was like, okay, whatever. So we went down there, and then they're like, they had an attitude problem pretty much the whole time about everything. And then they're like, okay, so we're like, okay, how much is cremation? They're like, okay, for a full size adult, $1,800. We're like, okay, so for the baby we'll do it for $1,000. I was like, excuse me? I was like, $1,000? It's like a full grown person, especially here in the South. Like, some of these people are 300-400 pounds. This baby is less than 10 pounds, and they're charging me not even half price. It's still over half price for this little tiny baby to be cremated. I was like, you got to be insane. Like, wait, what? What's going on?
It's like they still have to turn the machine on, but they wouldn't have to run it as long, you would think, right? I mean, I don't know. They must have like a baseline charges for turning the machine on, I guess. But still, I think that yeah, those are like details that are kind of like a little bit silly when you think about the whole big picture of everything.
Well, because it's just a furnace, so it's like it's not gonna cost $700 to do this.
Yeah.
Or that's what our discounted rate that they gave us later was $700 still, which is like
We
insane.
complain.
Yeah, because we complained because I was like, it's insane. Like a 10-pound baby costs $700 to incinerate in a furnace. It's like, okay, right, all right, whatever. So then of course, like when you're looking at like the prices of all these things, like it's like I'm like, okay, so this is like something that people are like grieving about, and like they're trying to wrap their heads around something that just happened. Because most of the time you do go to the funeral service and all this stuff like pretty shortly after someone passes away, and like everything is insanely expensive. And not only are these people not really sympathetic, they're like trying to figure out how they can get as much money out of you as possible.
Well, like a regular funeral, you said what it would cost. I mean, depending on where you're at, obviously it can cost like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Like some of these caskets can be like, yeah, anywhere from 5,000 to like $100,000, and then that's not even including the burial plot or anything like that, or a tombstone or anything else. That's just the coffin itself, and that's not even like having a service done or like having them do the makeup or like a showing, nothing. So like that's insane. And another thing about this, like once they told us that they had the baby back, we wanted to see if we can see the baby, and they're like, and we're like, wait, what's going on now? They're like, the baby's being embalmed right now, and they did an autopsy and like cut it all up, and we're like, what? It's like they told us they were not gonna be doing this. They're like, oh yeah, they did. They like did the typical autopsy stuff. We're like, so during this time where we're like still kind of like in shock that our baby passed away, like then they told us they cut it up and now we can't even see it. So like the only time we actually got to see our baby was during the
Right after.
right afterwards and the checkups at the hospital to make sure everything like was going the way I guess that it's supposed to go, which is still like a weird system too, because it's like the baby passed away, it gets sent off. We don't get to like it's like we can't even take it ourselves. Like it gets sent off, and then it comes back, and then we don't get to see it anymore. Like this is a messed up industry, and like especially how expensive all this stuff is. We don't even know how much the hospital bill or anything else like that is yet. It hasn't come down the pipeline, but like this is insane. Like people need to like really take time to like look into this kind of thing and change this. It's like why can't we as a people just respect and honor life and death as it is? Like there doesn't need to be someone profiting from someone's grief. Like you can't even like fully celebrate the person when you're like thinking about you might be bankrupt for the rest of your life because someone suckered you into buying all these things at like who knows how much per month. And like yeah, it's a cruel thing, especially when like I didn't there was no sympathy or anything at all when we were talking to any of these people. The hospital there was a little bit.
I thought there was. I actually didn't mind the hospital experience. I didn't think it was.
The hospital was okay. It's just the funeral. The funeral home was like the part I'm talking about, but the hospital seemed like they were actually kind of sad about what was happening, but the funeral home did not at all. And that's what's funny too is like they had us do the paperwork, and then we were driving away, and then they call me like half an hour later. Oh, actually, I need you to come back and do some more papers. I'm like, are you serious right now? Like,
Well, so to be fair, we are in a small town. And maybe they, if they were in like a big city, maybe there would have been more like bedside manner. But the thing is, I don't want fake bedside manner stuff, The more issue that I have is just it's almost like you lose something or someone, or just someone passes away from their physical body back into, the non-physical world. And then the roaches come out of the dark to come grab whatever they can from that situation, from you, just take everything as much as they can. That's kind of what the main issue for me is, at least. Yeah. Go ahead.
absolutely, because it's like the thing is that makes it even like more disturbing when even when you're talking about like it like that. It's like the baby left the hospital because we couldn't take it with us. That was the last time we were able to confirm that it was our
If
baby.
you want to
If you
Yeah.
even want to get into that at all, it's like that like it's a little bit disturbing too, because like we can never actually confirm anytime afterwards that this was our baby. Even the ashes that we have, it's like we are going to just accept that it is, but we have no way to confirm because like there is nothing. And they even spelled his name wrong on the box. Like it's like, come on, you guys. It's like,
It's like
but
tact. Come on, tact,
yeah.
right?
So overall, it's like this is the kind of thing that people are dealing with, especially when it comes to death. Like people need to kind of like allow it to be changed, like because people used to have like all these ceremonies, ways to honor like the dead and passing, and like have a way to grieve properly instead of like having someone tell you how to and then charging you to do it.
And then taking your and the thing is like what you were saying the other day. It's like this baby is this is a piece of us. This is what our body is made together. Pretty much, this is a piece of us that they just take away and like do whatever they want with it, chop it up, and they're gonna embalm it too. Which I didn't want. Like I didn't want any kind of anything done to his body, and like literally all the things were done to him. So it's like
They disrespected anything
it's
that we thought was gonna happen.
yeah, it's kind of like when you look at it on that level, it's a bit disrespectful. But then there's a whole nother side of this that you could look at too. I'll let you finish up, and then I want to look just oh, so like I guess the other side of it is like just not being, because we talk a lot about manifestation and like our reality and being in the moment and in all that stuff, and definitely learned a lot from this situation, even with regards to all that, you know. I
Yeah.
don't think that this doesn't discount anything that we've talked about, really. It's
Yeah.
part of the whole thing. I feel like, in a way, this experience has sort of like opened up some sort of like, what are you, taking off some more blinders or opened up
It kind of opened our awareness to like
a
more of
lot
like what's
more,
going
a
on.
lot more. I did take, it was like a couple of years ago, I took a class in death and dying and read about this whole like funeral ripoff, death ripoff services, and I was like, wow, yeah, they totally do that. I was very vocal in that class about how, people shouldn't be scared of death. It's normal. It's like, and because people were like freaked out about death in that class, and you know, and now we experience it on a very like personal level, because I've never experienced death like this before.
I haven't either.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's interesting. It gives you a lot more perspective, and there's room, I guess, to grow as a physical consciousness in this physical realm. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something about. Oh yeah, the other perspective on that is that like we attach, I guess, so much to, I mean, I think it's important obviously to honor the physical form and like any physical form, and like because it's also part of the creation of like source and like the our creative source energy and whatnot, but also becoming too attached to the physical form, it's like almost like here's your perfect little baby that's not here, but that's just physical form. And obviously, as parents, you want to protect your baby, and literally, like, in my mind, like, maybe other people probably wouldn't see anything wrong with this. Like, good, they did an autopsy, they chopped him up. Oh god, they got him embalmed. Yeah, they probably wouldn't see anything wrong with that. But to me, like I said, it's more of a very like you cross this the respect and respectful boundaries of like the physical body, and like someone's like how you like honoring the physical form or whatever, and like it's like, so it happened right in front of our eyes pretty much, and there's nothing we could do about that. But in a different sense, like I said, I think that also, in a way, at least I feel like the underlying message there is that we personally, at least, and maybe just in this situation, should not be, we can't attach ourselves to his physical form, because that's not, him. It's almost like removing that attachment even more. It's like, I don't know. Do you see what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say?
I see what you're saying. It's like 'cause a lot of people like, especially when you're like waking up to a lot of different realities of things and like this existence. We have attachments to like all these things, and you're like slowly starting to like detach from like, okay, this me like money means something to me. Like, like then you detach from the idea like that money is important, and then like another one is like death. Death become is like something like, oh, this physical form, this death is important. I'm attached to like, oh, but you have to like remove yourself. You're like, oh, why am I attached to this
Your
physical
body,
form, this body, when it's like
the
that is not
the
my
physical
son.
being. Yeah, he's not his body. He's in a conscious, non-physical realm. This the physical form is based literally just what I don't even know if he fully occupied it at any point, but that's just sort of a small slither of representation of who he could have been or who he was at like a short moment in time. And like we literally, if we put all our energy into that being him, we would lose so much like perspective on like just
The world and
everything.
existence.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't take this the wrong way, like that we're like not sad or like removed from the situation, because it did rock us pretty hard, like, but it was a very big learning experience, like to about the world and like how we kind of navigate ourselves through our experiences.
And things that people have to go through like every day. You know,
Yeah.
people deal with their family dying like all the time. So yeah,
So yes, we did cry and everything. Don't take it as like we don't care that like he passed, because it's not his, like that's not who he is, his physical form. Like we did grieve, and the thing is like, but we can't just like hold on to that physical form as being who he is, and like that is not who he is. He is the consciousness that's kind of like with us all the time. It's like that is the real person.
yeah. So what's the moral of this? Or are you almost done? You got some more?
I'm pretty much wrapping it up. Like, I just want to say, like, people need to like really take in consideration, like, we need to take back that process from like this industry that like charges people money, like change the rules and laws. Because like, I mean, when you think about it, it's like we had him cremated for $700. We could have had a beautiful ceremony at home, did like what they used to do, wrap them in cloth, and like have flowers and like a bunch of like a nice like beautiful wood pile, and like honor them as you're burning their ashes in and like into the winds, like not in a blast furnace that just sits there and like you incinerate it, then you scoop it out and slide it into a bag. It's like that process could have been much more beautiful, and it could have been like a very nice thing for many people to kind of celebrate for $700. It's just like, and even if you wanted to get a casket or like make your own casket or something, or like buy one and then bury them in your own land or like whatever, it's like that's perfectly fine. Okay. And but it's like, why do we have to pay someone so much money to do this? Because it's like they're charging you a premium on this stuff, like because the wood or how these caskets and stuff are made, it does not cost that much. It does not.
Yeah.
It's like they're charging you like it's weight in gold.
Yeah. It's kind of like, yeah, basically, it's just taking another look at how our physical reality that we are in right now. There are aspects of it that are definitely set up to take advantage of people when they're down or whatever in certain situations, which a lot of people know this, but it's like drawing our attention to it in a very real way,
Yeah.
our attention to it in a very, so we're just decided, figured we would kind of talk about it a little bit because it is important, and it's kind of, it is, when you think about it, it's a little messed up because like I said, there's the part of where it's like you don't get too attached to like the physical form, okay, and it's like, but then there's a whole like we should have the right to be able to honor our okay, our loved ones that pass away that leave their physical body in the way that we want to, you know.
Yeah, without someone dictating it for us.
Yeah, and there are some cultures somewhere that still do it that way, so it's not like the whole world has changed, but definitely here in this country it's become very commercialized, and I'm hoping, and I think it will. I think with all the other changes that are starting to happen in the world, um, that this is something that I think is going to change too. I mean, it has to.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's like, wow, this is really messed up.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah,
Yeah. And that about wraps it up for me. Anything you like to add?
I think that's it. Yeah.
All right, everybody.